Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mike Rosehart Show. It has been a week since I last talked to you guys. Every week we go live for the Wise Ball Show, and today we're going to talk about family fire. So, fire, financial independence, retiring early, and what it's like to retire early with a family, and how that's sort of different, and why retiring with a family isn't as hard as you think and is way more rewarding. So, that's the plan for today, is to dive deep into family fire. Apologies that I have not. Hey William, good to see you on. I think we're live now. It's people are just getting the notification to give people a few minutes to jump on. But yeah, so apologies for having like the craziest hair ever. I cut my own hair usually, and I haven't cut my hair in like 4 or 5 months. So like, if you actually pull down my hair is all like this long, like the back it's super long. It's curly, so it helps to like keep it short. But I'm also doing the Movember, so if you guys want to donate to a good cause, I'm growing a little chin strap beard. Donate to men's health. It used to just be like prostate cancer, but now I've heard like the Movember movement, where you like don't shave your mustache and stuff, is supposed to be for all of men's health. So like mental illness for men, talking about like cancer with men, all the different things that men are going through. So in support of that, 12 years ago my grandmother died of cancer, and just to support like cancer, I've always just like grown a little mustache during Movember. But anyway, talking about family and early retirement, because it's something that people think are not like, they can't go together very nicely. This doesn't happen. Like the number one feedback from people who have families is like, hey, my kids are like, I have 3 kids. There's no way I could retire early. Like I keep working because my kids, my family this, my family that, therefore I can't retire. And so I think that's misleading, and we're going to debunk some of that today. Guys like Mr. My Mustache have touched on it. He had, I guess he has a son, right? Just one child. I have 2 kids. But I can walk you through what it actually costs to have kids, which is a lot less than you think. So if you're planning to retire and at some point have kids, and you don't have kids yet, you can get a feel for what it costs to actually have kids in your financial plan. And if you do have kids, I can give you some strategies to keep costs down and ensure you can actually retire with kids. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about why I think kids are so awesome. One, they're the best. They're like mentees, but like 100 times better, because they're genetically you, and you can mold them into like the perfect little human beings. Not only is it like self-actualization and like gratifying, but further, I think having kids and family, it roots you emotionally. Andrew, hey, everyone who's just jumping on. Good to see you guys on. Sorry, I'm just getting started now. We're talking about family and financial independence, and how it can be a good thing, actually, for your overall mental psyche. You'll be much better off in retirement. It's often a good reason to retire. Like a lot of people will work really hard in, hey, Tony, good to see you on. It's a lot of people work really hard for a while to build wealth, and then they'll use the event of like a child being born as a reason to retire from the job that they hate, or a job that's, holding you back, right? So in a lot of ways, I think kids can be a catalyst for retirement. They can force you into retirement earlier than, and I think retirement is a good thing, by the way. I see retirement as retiring from something you hate to do something you love. So to go into, for instance, a job that you love versus, doing a job that's soul crushing and sucks. Having the time to be there for your kids is important. Like if you have kids, you owe it to your kids to unlock financial independence for them. If you didn't do it before you had kids, it sucks. You can't change the past. I recommend it. If you're young now and you don't have kids yet, work hard now so you can provide for your family later. That's what I did starting at 17. By 19, I had my first property. I was grinding. So when I had kids, I could be financially prepared to have kids, right? Like as a human being, our fertility and our overall ability to have healthy children, it goes down over time, right? Like there's a peak in like, young 20s, and it just goes down. For women, way faster than for men. Men's a slower decline. But we have, the later we wait to have kids, the worse it is. But at the same time, the later we wait to have kids, the richer we are. Because over time, average net worth goes like this, straight up. Like it literally just goes straight up. The older you are, the richer you will be, because money grows over time. So on average, people are richer the older that they get. So the best time to have kids is when you're financially ready. If you have kids without having, the financial backing, you'd be me, like my parents. My parents, they split when I was like 6 months old. They didn't have the financial backing. I grew up in poverty. It sucked. I know what it's like to grow up with a single parent family household without the financial, backing set up. I didn't want that for my kids. I didn't want that for my family. I definitely don't want that for you. I don't want that for your kids and your family as well. So that's why I want to talk in this episode a bit about how you prepare to have a family. I think financially is a big piece of that. And then we should also talk just about like how great it is having a family. Like it's one of the best things you can do. I don't know, for your mental psyche, it just feels great. Like I come home and I have a bad day and my 3.5-year-old, almost 4-year-old daughter runs in and gives me a big hug and it changes my day. We just got a dog actually too, so I consider him part of the family now. Milo, if you guys are following on social media, you've seen him. He is a golden doodle. He's like a 50-pound dog. He's a big boy, but he has the kindest heart of any dog I've ever met. We just adopted him 6.5 months old. So he's young, he's full of energy, and he's been keeping us up at night. We've been going through the pains of that, but the long-term benefits of having pets and having family in your life is net positive. You'll be way better off in the long term. Yeah, golden doodles are amazing. I see Flame 65. And the thing about, golden doodles that's so awesome is one, they're hypoallergenic. So 2, they're like good-mannered dogs. They're good with kids and they're just good in general. 3, they can run with you. They can, they're active big dogs. Like a golden doodle can run 32 miles an hour at top speed if it's like at full peak health. That's 50 kilometers an hour. That's a fast dog. So it's fast, it's strong, it's beautiful, hypoallergenic. So they don't, when you pet a dog and it has fur, it sheds. Golden doodles are crossed so that they don't shed. They grow hair. Like they literally grow hair like what we have. So that's a cool little bonus if you're looking for a dog. Get a hypoallergenic dog, especially if you have allergies to dogs. It's pretty cool. But yeah, for a number of reasons we went with this dog, and just his personality is so affectionate, so caring, so loving, and yet at the same time like very playful and very I think mature for a 6.5-month-old, but he does have a ton of energy and he needs to settle, and we're working on training him. But that's what's up in my life right now. I close tomorrow on our new house. Really excited for that. It is a bigger house than I thought I'd ever buy. It is not the firehouse that I thought I would have, but because it's a bungalow, it's 2,100 square feet on the main floor plus a 2.5-car garage, and then it's a full walkout basement, full brick, but at the back it walks out 9-foot ceilings in the basement, and the basement is basically just like a walkout. So it's not even really a basement. It's like, feels like above grade. And so there's another 2,200 square feet under there because there's a cellar that we're gonna turn into a gym. So there's actually, believe it or not, a 4-bedroom lower, kind of suite going on. We're not gonna use it as 4-bedroom. We're gonna kind of have a gym and a movie theater and stuff, but I'm gonna rent that out. So my mentees are gonna be living down there and basically gonna be offsetting the mortgage. So it is actually a house hack. And I am living in this house for almost at cost, right? So living in this great house, in this great neighborhood, one of the best neighborhoods in London, and doing that for almost no cost, right? And I close the property tomorrow, guess what? 0 down. I got a bridge loan for the entire 20% down payment, and I got a mortgage for the entire 80%. So I am buying this house for $0. Nothing, for free. The house is 0. There's no money of mine going into it right now. That's wild, first off, called bridge financing to borrow the down payment, and it's conditional upon selling another house. So that's how I got the bridge financing locked up, and the down payment did come at a cost of like 6%, so it's a bit expensive, but very interesting that you can do this kind of stuff. So as of tomorrow, I'll be starting on that, and we're gonna modernize the house. It's really good, solid bones, built 2x6, 2x8 construction, all that kind of stuff. And it is really like a great solid house to raise a family in. Like it's in one of the best school districts in London. There is no like low-income housing nearby. It's just great all around. It's far and separated from the busyness of the city, and that's what I want. Like it's an area of, it's still in London, but it's in an area of London that's very much a well-to-do suburb, and the trees on the street grow together over the road. It looks like Vancouver during the summer, and it's right there in the walking paths. So that's, all around there's these amazing walking paths, like a 10-second walk from our house, which is fantastic. So it's a lifestyle change, at the same time financially feasible, because the cost of living there is not much. Like people pay more in rent for a 1-bedroom in London than I'm gonna pay to have this house, because I can house hack it. And that's the beauty of house hacking, and I recommend it for everyone who wants to be financially independent, is find that like house hack. I think my eventual end game, like long term, 20, 30 years from now, is to have basically a mansion, like a honeycomb design, with a big house in the center and a couple of other like attached houses on the sides, and then a 4-car and 4-car garage. So you've got like looks like a big mansion when you drive up, but they're actually condos. And like 2 of them are sold to my closest mentee inner circle, and they own these massive houses too. And it looks like one big mansion, but really it's subdivided into units that create cash flow, so it's a break-even mansion. So it costs nothing to have, and it sort of self-sustaining. So that's the idea of like the long-term, like getting that. I still have that desire to like show up, all the people who I grew up around who like think, that materialistic possessions matter, and they do to an extent, but not really. Like true happiness doesn't come from any of that stuff. Like if I didn't have this abundance of wealth that I'm getting every day, and I mean, honestly, I'd be happy. It doesn't really make you happier, but at the same time, having a goal is important. And for me, like now that I've unlocked a lot of the financial goals, I just like to create new ones because it's more of a challenge. It's like, hey, what's a reason for me to get out of bed and keep doing real estate? Well, okay, like let's look at this honeycomb mansion as a goal to work towards. And I think in the process of doing that, I'm going to make all of my mentees, I have a free mentorship program. You guys know that, where I have people who live with me and they live and breathe real estate, and we bring them from zero to millionaire over like a 1 or 2 year period. And it's an intensive, or even like a 4 year period, let's just say, to multimillionaire, a 5 year period to multimillionaire is the goal. And over that time, I get to watch them grow from nothing to something, right? Like something impressive. In the process of that, I make some money too, because that's called a win-win. That's what you want to create, is something where both people can win. But that's where I get the most reward, right? And that's what I enjoy the most, right? And so I guess the whole point of this kind of talk or rant was just that, like, do what makes you happy. And I think when you have a family, it makes it very, very hard to do something you don't love. Like, if I had to grind in a job that I hated every day and come home to my family, it'd be hard. Like, I don't want to be in that position. I don't want you guys to be in that position. So if you are thinking about having a family, get your finances in order now. If you're planning to have kids, for the good of your kids, be around for your kids. That's important. Hey, little pump. Good to see you on. I'm going to do a little jump in the chat here for a sec here. Hey, how you doing? Tommy, good to see you too. Greetings, you handsome devil. Thanks, appreciate that. Yeah, I haven't cut my hair in a while, so I don't know about that. I guess that's kind of a jab or a joke. Fire, get back to work. Tricks are for kids. Rezak's always jumping on with the random comments. Well, what is this? What is this? If I fire and everyone says I'm stupid. Well, if you fire and everyone says you're stupid, then they're stupid, unless you did that without any money. Like if you actually had the financial independence money set aside, who cares what people think? Like, you're the one who has to live your life. Forget what other people think. The only person that should make you happy is you. So look within and say, hey, is what you're doing with your time bringing joy to your life? Is it bringing value? And a little while ago, I was doing some stuff with the property management and the construction, which I'm not doing anymore. And I wasn't in a good place. I wasn't happy, despite having enormous amounts of wealth. Like, I wasn't doing it for any monetary reason. I was doing it for like friendship reasons and a number of promises that I made to people. But I looked inside and I wasn't happy with what I was doing. And I realized I created a job. As an entrepreneur, I created a job for myself, and I didn't want that. So I made a change. And that's the beautiful thing about FIRE, is that if you're doing something you don't enjoy, you can just pivot. If your job changes in some way, you don't like it anymore. Your boss changes, you don't like it anymore. Your company gets bought out or downsizes, or industry changes. It's okay. You're working because you enjoy it. And that's what I want for most people. And I think it's achievable within 5 years. So anyone can save up enough money to build up a financial nest egg that's prevent them from having to feel like they need to work for money. That can be done in 5 years at a 70 or 80% savings rate, which might seem extreme or excessive, but hell, I even maintain that savings rate in retirement now. So yeah, my latest financial goal, just like throw it out there, is like my stretch. I always set like a goal that's like something I'm always working towards financially. And my current one is $1,000 a day passive income. I'd like to have $1,000 a day coming in complete passive income. So ideally that'd be like private lending, first mortgages. So no tenants, no properties, no issues, just lending to investors on properties. And I'll go 70, 80% loan to value, maybe a little bit more depending on who I'm dealing with. Lending secured to property at 10% means to get $1,000 a day, I need 3.65 million. At 12%, it means I need like only a couple of million. Actually, I'm definitely already there. But it's just cool to think about that. Like, I don't have a lot of my wealth distributed correctly or well right now. I need to make some strategic changes. I have properties with tons of equity in them, and I can't refinance them right now for whatever reason. So I'm actually putting 4 of my properties up for sale. If you guys are looking for property in London, Ontario, we have 10 properties that we're disposing of in the portfolio. They're all 1% rule. So I have properties that cash flow insanely well in London, Ontario. So if someone stayed for 15 minutes into this live stream, hit me up on Instagram. I got a whole bunch of properties where I know of investors who want to get rid of properties. If I don't own them on title, they may own them. I can connect you with some really good deals because there's some, when you make it a lot of money, you build up a property and the market goes up and you've created all this equity, you need to get that equity out. And if you can't refinance it out, you have to sell and then buy again. And the idea behind that makes sense is, let's say you have a property that you've paid down now 50% of the property. It makes sense to sell that property and buy something else at 20% down, right? So if you run the numbers, even net of tax consequences, it makes sense to rotate your real estate portfolio. So I'm rotating through about 10 or so properties, maybe even 15. So hit me up if you're looking to sell or to buy. And then I'm also always looking to buy because I like the thrill of a new deal. But just throwing that out there. I saw a message come up, it got retracted, didn't get to read it. Erica, you have to shoot that back out, I missed it. Okay, I'm gonna go up here and try to blast through some of these questions for you guys. And girls. Mike, do you buy houses with huge vermin problems? How do you handle them if it's occupied with tenants, and what does the cost usually run? Let's say a home is infested with rats. So I've done a ton of vermin like rats, but I've had some houses that were infested with cockroaches, bed bugs before. We've had tons of I bought some properties that had some of the worst tenants in them, and bad tenants, like good tenants don't have roaches and bed bugs, right? It's just the bottom class of tenants for the most part. Like a really well-to-do tenant actually got bed bugs at one of our properties, and they were so embarrassed they didn't even tell us. They hired pest control to get taken care of it. The rich tenants don't bother you. It's the poor tenants that can't afford. They go to their friends' houses that have bed bugs and they spread it all around, right? That's kind of how it works. In those situations, it's very tough. The pest control people will tell you themselves, roaches are 100% a tenant cleanliness issue. So if the ethnic group of tenant, I guess, is kind of bringing in the bringing in the roaches, there's not much you can really do. You can treat them, you put baits down, you spray, but it's an ongoing problem. Really, the solution is to get the house cleared out and then fumigate it and then start fresh with a clean tenant profile. That's ideal in those situations. But yeah, Tommy, problems equal profits, right? That's, at the end of the day, as real estate investors, we take on the shit that no one wants to do. That's the honest truth. Like the crappiest work that no one wants to do, you take those houses on, you fix those houses up, you get rewarded for it. That's how you make big money in real estate. You take on problems people don't want, or you see where there's a problem and you fix it. So for instance, there's a 4-bedroom, 1-bath house. No one sees the underlying problem. The reason the rents are low is because it needs another bathroom. As a 4-bed, 2-bath, it'd be much better, right? So then you put an ensuite washroom, boom, now you've increased the value, you've got the rents up. And rents don't just go up on their own, like rents are only equal to what someone's willing to pay. And so if you make the property nicer, someone will literally pay exactly what you want. So, Erica, yeah, feel free to reach out, definitely on those properties. One of them is one that would need to be bought in cash. It's not a mortgageable property. It needs some fixing up still in one of the units as a tenant. And a couple of the other properties, same thing. We got a triplex that has some questionable tenants that haven't been able to, like some properties I buy and the tenants don't want to leave. You can offer them cash to leave, but sometimes they just don't want to go. And I'm in a stage in my life where I don't want to fight with tenants. Like I have no interest in that. There was a time where I had the energy to fight for it. But if someone wants to take on a challenge and make $20,000, $30,000 to deal with these problems, I'm happy to hand those problems off. So problems equal profits, right? And I have properties that cash flow like beasts, and they would be very, very good properties for someone who is like myself 5 years ago. Like me 5 years ago would jump at the opportunity to buy this portfolio, right? So yeah, I'll kind of throw that out there. But it's, again, off market. I'm just kind of like throwing it out there to the network. And actually, one of the properties just got picked up a couple days ago by just someone in my network. An investor was like, hey man, I'm looking for a property like this. And I was like, oh, I actually have a property like that. Do you want to go check it out? And we checked it out and private offer and done. Another property, same thing. So yeah, that's kind of how it works in the real world. Like a lot of real estate changes hands that ever turning on to the MLS. Because the reason for that is like I have to go take pictures, do it up really nice, do a write-up, do all the like realtor paperwork. It's a lot of work to list. Like to list 15 houses is like weeks of work. So yeah, lazy Mike would love to just sell them all privately because it's a lot of work. And I have to have all the agents calling me, all the people calling me. It's a lot of work to sell a house. 1 or 2 houses is not a big deal, but 15 houses at once, that's a lot of work. So maybe some privately people want to buy. Okay. The last part of your question, what does it usually cost? So I don't know about rats, but like I've heard that the cost of rats can be a few thousand. Often like the way you get rid of vermin, like mice coming into a house, is to exclude the house. So what an exclusion is, like you go around and you put like in the brick holes, like the breathing holes for the house. You put in like steel wool that allows it to breathe, but the mice can't get through it. You do some caulking, things like that, just to seal up the areas they're getting in, right? That'd be like an exclusion job, and then you could catch, like bait and catch the vermin inside the house. So yeah, definitely something you could solve. Good question. As a real estate investor, it's something you should know. Like a lot of the properties out there have pest issues, and even if they don't now, they will eventually. Every house will eventually get mice, or something will happen. You have like a hornet's nest you have to deal with. Pests are real. Funny story. I once was doing a renovation on a property, and it was all plywood ceiling, and I got the plywood ripped down. I was ripping it down in the basement, and I see a couple like wasps coming around. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, there's wasps everywhere here. So I started ripping, and then like I see like 10 wasps come out. I'm like, oh snap! And I see in there's no word of a lie, a hornet's nest bigger than a football, swarming with thousands of these friggin' hornets, and there's tenants in the upper unit. I'm in the lower unit, so I run out, right? Because I just disturbed this huge nest, and I try to seal up the unit to keep them all down there, but they could get up into the HVAC work, so I shut the furnace off and I run out of there, right? And what was I gonna say? I run out of there, and then I go back and I get I put on like a full winter coat, gloves, and I duct tape around like where the gloves meet the jacket, and I put like a hood on and I zip it up, and then I put like a mask on, and I go down there with acetone brake cleaner because I know that kills the nest, and I douse it myself. I took on 1,000 hornets by myself because I was frugal. That's Mike in 2016, and I actually did eradicate and got rid of this massive nest and cleaned the whole place out myself. No exterminator. No. $4 can of brake cleaner. So I had my fair share of pest stuff, but like I don't want to say the word is like I'm too tired. I'm just too wealthy to deal with those problems anymore. Like now my time is worth too much to risk it doing that kind of stuff. I would do that kind of stuff in the beginning to make it to where I am now, and like a lot of people wouldn't do that stuff, and because they don't do that, they don't go the extra mile. They didn't have the result that I did. Like my projects, they delivered. I exceeded expectations again and again and again and again because I did that kind of stuff. Like I didn't stop, right? So that was actually a fun day doing that. I didn't even get stung, believe it or not. They were stinging through my jacket and my pants, trying to get through my snow pants. But I think I maybe got one. I might have got one sting before I got the suit on. But once I had my own little homemade bee suit on, I was good to go. Yeah. This is the first bit of content I've watched on this channel. Oh, thanks, appreciate that. Yeah, like I have thousands of hours of content on this channel. I've been going live for a year and a half like this for an hour and a half live stream every single Wednesday, and I drop at least 1 to 2 videos on top of the live streams every week for the last year and a half. So there are some golden nuggets. There's also a bunch of admittedly a bunch of trash on my channel. Like I have a bunch of videos that are gold mines but have terrible audio or video. I am not a self-proclaimed media guy, and my media guy Kyle, he's learning too. So we're all just trying to improve. Some of it's gold, but again, like wrapped in crap because the audio or video isn't great. Even now, like I know this live stream is not as good as it could be because I'm doing it from a phone. It's good enough. You know, I can share my message with you guys, and that's why I do this. Like it's not an income generator for me at all. It's literally just my like outlet to the world to say like, hey, this FIRE thing is great. Financial independence, retiring early is awesome. Real estate is a fantastic way to invest some of your FIRE money, but it's not everything. This channel is also about, you know, being happy and just sharing my stories. So looks interesting. Thanks for the content. Thanks, Hugo. Happy to share about that too. Honestly, it's been a lot easier working with private lending than it has been working with investors. Like when you joint venture partner with someone, you have to be accountable to that person all the time. If I borrow the money for the property and I go get the mortgage and I borrow the 20% down payment from an investor, right? They bring the capital, the equity side, then I have control of the deal. So I don't have to check in with anyone. I can do whatever I want. I have full control. And I just have to pass those profits on in a fixed return. The investor doesn't have to worry about, you know, if rent isn't paid 1 month. It's like every single month, the first of the month, they get paid, guaranteed, a fixed return, you know, 10 or 12%. And most investors, that's actually what they want. They don't want the roller coaster of like having to renovate a property and the stresses of all that. So to stabilize it for an investor, the best thing you can do is just borrow the capital, buy the properties, fix it up. And also I'd make way more money. Like I give my investors way too much when I split the profit 50-50. So it's better for everyone all around. Just better all around. What do you think about negative interest rates? So I'll get to that in a little bit later here, but I guess we're not really in negative interest rates right now, it would be really good for real estate. Real estate would do very, very well with negative interest rates. But I think the risk premium associated with the type of real estate that I'm buying, there'll always be an interest paid. Yeah. Overall net positive for the economy, really. Low interest rates for a long period of time helps stimulate growth. It's incredibly hard to get comps without MLS data. I notice many investors are agents with access to the data. How do you get the comps? What websites? So Chuck Norris, I like that name. So Chuck Norris, I'm an agent, so I have access to all that data. Before that, I had an agent who worked for me, and he would provide me all that data. And so we had a partnership kind of go on, and it made good sense. I don't think it makes sense to get your real estate license just for the data. Most of the data is coming with like guys like Zillow coming in, and they're sharing a lot of the data. It's becoming very, public. So data is something that agents hold on to, but they're losing control of. And so it's not really justified. I think if you're doing a lot of deals, it can make sense to be an agent. Otherwise, just find an agent and partner with them, and they'll help you out. That's my thought on that one. I'm excited to watch your video with Matt McKeever last week where you discussed some of this. So I talked a little bit on Matt McKeever's channel. We did a video a couple of weeks back. The audio was terrible, unfortunately. We didn't realize the mic was turned up way too loud, so it's like very crackly and terrible. It hurt my ears to listen, and maybe I have high standards, I don't know. But the content was solid, and we walked through one of our properties there, and a property I'm involved in anyway, and some of the issues with tenants and not doing proper screening, stuff like that. So yeah. Mike, education and after school costs are a big headache. Roughly 40% of our family budget. Wow, William, that's a lot. Family fire can be much more frugal if you can be strategic about it. I think that, imagine if you weren't working, William. Like if you're financially independent, you could spend the time with the kids that you wouldn't have to spend it on, like, for instance, daycare or things like that. Like those costs don't exist for someone who's fired, right? Like my wife's an at-home mom, so we have a lot of cost savings there. When I want her to help me in the business, I bring on a nanny. So we're actually looking at a part-time nanny right now. And you might think that's crazy because like she's an at-home mom, but I need her help in the business sometimes. And it's nice just to get a break too, right? Just for our own sanity, to be able to go out for dinner and that sort of thing. So having a nanny is great. For me, that's one extra deal a year. Like to pay for a nanny is nothing. I'm looking at what I'm making and I'm like, there was a time where that was not feasible, but now like it obviously is feasible, and it's still frugal as hell, right? Like technically Jeff Bezos, look at his passive income. That guy be at 98% savings rate no matter what he does. He literally just buys a Lambo and he's at 98% savings rate. So at a certain point, it's actually frugal. Like technically it is frugal to live on like 5% of what you're making, right? So if you're making a lot, then you can live it lavish. So I guess with a family, the thing is, there is extra cost, but it's not as expensive as you think. Like you can do it on a lot less than most people do. People mostly go out to eat and they spend a lot of money, or they go and they buy useless things they don't need to, or that sort of thing, right? It is hard, I'll admit, in the teenage, like in the probably 8 to like 16 years old, when your kids are that age. Ideally, you've gotten to a point before that where you've built a financial nest egg. So like my daughter's 3.5 right now, I can still build my financial nest egg. She doesn't cost me hardly anything. She's potty trained, so there's like nothing there. Her food, she literally eats like, I swear my plate's like this, and she has like a little plate like that. Like her serving size is like $1 a day for food, $2 a day. The food cost is nothing. Car cost is not a lot. Like she's often going where we're going anyway. And part of her adventure is like coming with us and learning with us. So if I go for a hike, I bring her with, She's a part of like my core. So there isn't a lot of extra cost to bring her along with us. Having 2 kids, same thing. Not that much different. Kids don't have to cost a lot of money. Parents make kids cost a lot of money. There is a period, I'll admit, where if you wanted to enrich your child's life, it would cost you some money. Like if they're doing a lot of, but then again, like I'm trying to think when I was a kid, because I was dirt poor, right? And I did like school swimming, school track, you could do like school basketball. All those sports are free. Like the schools in Canada here offer like basketball, soccer, there's like lacrosse, and some high schools offer lacrosse and stuff. Some of them offer like rugby, football, if you're in high school, track and field, there's a whole bunch of sports in track and field, volleyball, all these sports you can do for free. Like your kid can be pretty busy for free. My elementary school in a poor area near Sarnia had a late bus that came at 4 and drove the kids home. Like there's a second bus that ran. And so like literally as a kid with a parent who had no money at a public school, there was 2 buses. So I'm like, there are a lot of programs offered. And that's not even like scratching the surface on the other social programs that exist. Like at the libraries, and there's local like school play groups, and like at schools they have separate little organizations that have all of these things that they offer. Like the library, they've got like 20, 30 programs going. At the like aquatic centers and stuff, they have all these free programs running. It doesn't cost a lot to have kids. I know, because I wanted to play. One thing I didn't get to do was play hockey. I wanted to play hockey so bad as a kid. I'm a pretty good skater. I learned how to skate self-taught on the old pond, you know, about 1 kilometer from my house that I would walk to every winter. But I always wanted to do like hockey, and I never got to play hockey. And that was because the equipment was like $900. But I got to swim. I did swimming, track and field, like soccer, basketball. All those things don't cost anything. So just don't have your kids do horseback riding and hockey, and your kids don't need to cost you anything. As far as like tutoring, I would sit down with my kids and I would teach them, right? There's even free tutoring programs at most elementary and high schools. So like the programs are there if you go and look for them. So that's what it is. At the end of the day, you guys sit down and say like, where is my kid actually costing me money? And kids don't cost that much money. Families don't have to cost that much money. You could spoil your kids and you could spend a lot on them. I plan to do that with my daughter, but that's because I've worked for the last 8 years to get to that point, right? Like if you haven't earned the wealth first, you can't go and like live the dream. Like everyone wants the Audi and the Lambo, but they don't want to work for it. You don't get to have the Audi until you've earned it. Everyone's getting the Audi, they're leasing it, they're renting it, whatever. They're getting a fancy Lambo. I'm seeing the people pop up all these Lambos, stuff like that. You got to earn it, right? There's a certain point we've actually earned that thing. People are leasing them in California. You see it all the time, these fancy cars. People haven't earned it. Everyone wants today in society without having to do. You got to do before you can have. So that's just my like rant on society and their wastefulness and their entitlement. Okay, so let's do all these questions here. I owe people a lot of answers here now. Let's do it. Rapid fire, lightning round. Looking back at all your real estate deals, what are the things you would avoid if you were just starting out in terms of type of houses you're purchasing and problems you wouldn't want to deal with? Tommy, there is no house I wouldn't buy for the right price, and there is no problem I wouldn't solve for the right profit. So in the beginning of my real estate investing journey, I only bought in Northwest London, near the university and all in there. So I actually would not buy I believed east of Richmond was risky. So I didn't buy anything east of Warncliffe I didn't really buy. I was like the whole strip near Western Road there and then all in the Northwest. And that's because I was afraid to buy in a C or D neighborhood. So I avoided Old East Village. Back when triplexes were 100 grand there in like 2012. I was looking there and I'm like, oh gross, everyone's like dying here on needles. This is disgusting. I didn't want a low tenant profile. So I aimed for the top tenant profile, students or A-level tenant profile. I avoided all the lower tenant profiles. I didn't want to deal with that. I grew up with that. I grew up in poverty. I knew what those people were like. They treat their properties like shit. They never pay you rent. Honestly, people have problems. They bring that drama into your life. So if they are dealing with a problem with their ex, they'll be calling you and texting you, dragging you into their drama. I didn't want that. So my investment journey in the beginning was like, I looked for A-type properties. Unlike buddies of mine like Matt McKeever who were buying in the shit areas of town, I didn't want that. He ended up buying in a really good gentrification area. He ended up making a ton of money. Good for him. Super proud of him for what he's done, but wasn't my strategy. I didn't want to deal with that. So I think if you're just getting into real estate investing and you start buying in the C neighborhoods, like the lesser areas, you might get tainted early on in your journey to how bad it can be to be a landlord. Landlording is great if you have wealthy tenants, good properties, and good areas. If you have those 3 things going, landlording isn't bad. It's actually pretty good. Like your tenants, in the good areas, my tenants would bring me Christmas gifts. Like they would, like, Merry Christmas, come by and, we're gonna pay rent for January early. Come by and get your Christmas gift. And it's like they're paying their rent like a week early and they're giving me a Christmas gift. And they're like, oh, hey, like, by the way, I did the East Troughs for you. Like, oh, no big deal. My brother was over, we did him. Take care of this house like it's our own. That's what you get in the A neighborhood. In the C neighborhood, they're like, you didn't do the East Trough. My rent's gonna be late because it's Christmas. And they blow smoke in your face. Like, I don't want to be rude, but like that's That's what I've seen in my experience going to like the D neighborhood to the A neighborhood. There's an entitled mentality where like, and I grew up in it, so I know. Like when you're down in the bottom of society, you're entitled. Like you feel like the world owes you something because you've been kicked down. It's just shit. I've been there. Like you feel like the world actually hates you and they owe you something. And so by extension, you believe your landlord owes you something to take care of the property. They're always blaming the landlord. They're always blaming someone else for their problems, right? It's hard to take accountability for your own problems. Like admittedly, that's how you raise out of poverty, is you sit there and say, this is my fault. I'm in control. Here's how I take control of the situation and make it better. As soon as you do that, you have mind shift, change of the way you think, and your life will change for the better in a big way. So anyway, that's my rant about that. I guess that would be, off the top of my head, what I would start with is like buy in the better neighborhoods, buy the better type properties, and start there. Ease your way into it. Don't go with a big fixer-upper from day one. Don't go with a huge like property with a bunch of bad tenants in it. Ease into it. And then when you get to property number 30 or number 40, if you want to go that far, which like, you don't even have to ever get that far. I don't even know why I bought so many properties as I did. Even now, I keep buying properties only because I'm insane. I like to buy properties. I like to be involved in the buying of properties, at least with my mentees. And, you know, I got to a point where I'll buy anything. And that's because my Rolodex is very long. I have a lot of trades that I know to solve problems. So I have solutions to almost any problem because I've encountered a lot of these problems over time. And so my first time having like bed bugs, I freaked out. But now if I get them, I know there's like a procedure to get this solved. I even actually have the steamer. I went and bought the steamer the pest control people use to steam the baseboards, to actually like kill and the carpets and stuff, so you can actually steam like all on the baseboards and stuff. I actually have that steamer. So I do my own, for a while there I was doing my own bed bug applications. It was like $1,100 to do a bed bug application. I was like, hell, I'll get rid of the bed bugs myself. So I looked up how to do it and I bought the high pressure, high temperature steamer and I did it, right? And, but you learn how to solve these problems, right? And so I think start small, don't get discouraged. Real estate investing is hard, but the profits are worth the work. Hopefully that helps. Okay, so let's go back up here and hit some more of these questions that I promised to answer. Fire with kids is amazing. The biggest upside of the fire movement, and really the most important to me, is at least, is to get your time back. Yes, 100%. I agree wholeheartedly with that statement. If you have kids, you should be fire. If you are gonna do any job for the next 7 years, you should unlock fire. Unless there's a good reason, like you don't want freedom for yourself. And maybe that's because you think that you need that Lambo or that Audi now. You don't. Delayed gratification, it's worth it. Your freedom is better than any object or thing that you might want now. Oh, there we go. Who is this Red Sox? I love these comments. Some of these are the best. Get a job, you lazy liberal. I didn't even vote liberal. I'm not a liberal. All right, I'm half liberal. Find a job you love. Is there a best time to have kids in life financially as a man? I think as a man, best time to have kids is like late 30s. I think as a woman, the best time to have kids is like early to mid 20s. Only because like a man often, like for instance, I'm still getting like beard hair. I think I'm still getting taller. I just turned 27 and I'm still becoming a man. So I look the same as honestly, like you can see, like I can't even grow a beard. Like this is it. This is embarrassing. Wait till, give it another 2 weeks. Maybe it'll come in. But you know, I'm 27. I just turned 27. It's crazy, I know. And even at my stage in the game, I feel like I'm not a man yet. Like I know I have kids and a family, but like I'll be a man when I can grow a full beard. Maybe I'm like a bit more jacked. Maybe that's never gonna happen for me. I don't know. But I feel like a man peaks a little bit later than a woman. Women start going downhill. Like health-wise, we look at like the fertility cycles of women. It takes, you know, after like mid-20s, it starts to peak, or it starts to fall from the peaks, right? And so by 40, like a woman is having a lot higher risk of all these issues, right? With like autism and stuff. Not to say you don't have kids then. Like honestly, my half-brother, how old was she? My dad got remarried and his third wife, and she had, I think they were well in their 40s. I have like a 5-year-old half-brother. And so like, it's totally fine. You can do it. And it turned out really well for them. But there are a lot of downsides as well to all of that, right? Like to having kids later on. The upside is you're richer. Like the longer you go having kids, like if I had kids 10 years from now, which I didn't, I had kids young, but if I had kids 10 years from now, then I'd be what, like 37, imagine having kids. And a decade from now, I'll probably have tens of millions of dollars, right? So I'd be wealthier than I ever would be. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's up to each person at the end of the day. It's hard to make that decision just based on like peak fertility. I think there's more to it than that. There's like emotional preparedness. There's financial preparedness. There's like, as a couple, are you ready for that? Like it's a big commitment to take on. And so there's a lot of factors at play. And I think at the intersection of all those things, you should try to plan out when the best time is to have kids. For me, I compromised. I had kids earlier than I wanted to because my wife wanted to have kids young. So I put it into high gear, and it actually got me to fire sooner because I worked that much harder to lock my financial base up. I said, okay, here's our plan. Like, give me 2 years to get our finances in lockdown, then we can have kids. And so she waited a little bit to have kids. She wanted to have them really young. My wife did. And it's good. Like, we had kids young, and so we'll be young parents. I'll get to be kid-free in the house at like in my late 30s, I guess, or like 40 at least, right? So that's pretty cool. Okay. Let's do some more questions. Okay, I found my spot again. Golden Duo, good choice. Thanks. A Future Wiz, making 40 moves. Thanks. Allow URLs in the chat. I'm not even sure how they're blocked. That's a YouTube thing. I don't even know how to do that. But feel free to send me an Instagram message. I'm happy to look at the link. My question is how you learned your craft early on. Did you hire out plumbing, electrical, HVAC, and try to do everything else? Thanks, Mike. So William, I would hire guys and work with them. So I'd hire a plumber, and then I'd work alongside him as an assistant. And I'd be like, hey, don't bring your second guy to run the pipe into the attic. I'll do that. I'll be your guy that receives the pipe in the attic. I'll watch YouTube videos before. You tell me what to do, I'll do it. You want me to run and get materials, I'll do that. And by getting materials for the guys, you learn what they're putting, like how they put the pipes together, because you see what they're buying. And now I know what to go buy when I go do that job next time. And so I would just hire guys to work on my properties. That was how I learned all my trades. And I'd work with the guy and watch them. And when you've done like 55, 60 properties, whatever I'm at, 70 properties, I have no idea how many properties I've even been involved in now. Geez, like well over 50, less than 100 though. So after you've done enough of those renovations, you get to learn how electricals are run, how plumbing is run, how you insulate, how you frame, how you drywall. And then when you find out, like I did in 2015, that you're out of money on your renovation project and you can't hire any trades anymore until your next paycheck in 2 weeks, you learn how to frame and how to lay floors and how to board. And YouTube's a good friend. And you work with friends who teach you how to learn trades. So that's how I learned how to learn all the trades. And I'm not a master of any trade. Like I am not a good drywaller. I'm not a good electrician. I'm not a good plumber. I'm not even a good flooring installer. I'm not a good window installer. I'm a terrible roofer. I'm terrible at everything. But I'm good enough that I can do it. Like I can frame a wall. I can frame a whole basement. I can insulate it. I can poly. I can board it. I can mud and tape. I can lay the floor. I can paint. I can cut in, fairly okay. I'm not good at anything. No one should hire me to renovate their house. I'm probably worth like 25 bucks an hour as a trades guy. But my knowledge of the trades and how they work together and what needs to be done before the plumber can finish his rough. And I know I can build a house in my brain. I can rebuild a house. I can take it apart. I know what's behind the walls and put it back together in my brain. That's a valuable skill. And so that's something I think that is a very high value skill not a lot of people have. A lot of trades guys don't have that skill. It's a design thing. Like I can take apart and I know what the fastest way to run plumbing is. I'm not going to necessarily run it, but I know how it's done. And so because I know how it's done, I can plan when I'm buying it. Can we put 2 washrooms here? Can we, put 2 bedrooms here? Is it physically possible with the current building codes and how I'm going to put the hat on the plumber, hat on the electrician, hat on of like all the different guys, and I can see how they all work. So I'm, I guess, a jack of all trades, master of none. And I learned that through failure, through trial and error again and again. And it's a skill you just acquire. Like my uncle was fairly handy. So he came down and helped me in the beginning with a little bit of renovations, and then I just hired guys out and I just worked with guys I found on Kijiji and went from there. That's how you do it. And now I don't even hardly pick up the tools. I'm gonna pick them up again. Actually, call out if anyone's still watching this right now, and I know there's a few people watching still. So if you're watching this or you're watching the replay, by the way, if you're watching the replay, smash that like button and jump in the comments. Engagement helps the video get sent out to my subscriber base. But if you're watching this and you want to come help out my new house, I'm closing my new house tomorrow, and we got to take up some tile floor. Take up some tile floor. So who wants to come take up some tile floor? Wants to come up, do a little demo, have a little fun, take apart a kitchen cabinets? You could learn. So if you want to learn, you want to hang out, I'm down to barter knowledge for knowledge. I'll be working there for the next 2 weeks, all the time, constantly, in trying to transform this house in the next 2 weeks to get moved into it. So if you know how to paint, you know how to do demo, or you just want to come hang out and add value in some way, if you don't just want to come talk, don't come. But if you want to come help and put on a tool belt and help out, I would love the help. It'd be a lot. So if you're in the London area, you want to come check that out, hit me up on Instagram at Mike Rosehart, and I'll hook you up with the details. We've already raised 4 people are coming. So maybe we'll get a couple more. We'll have a whole army of subscribers coming together to transform my new house. So that'll be kind of cool. Okay, next question. Oh, I lost my spot again. Oh, found it. Okay. I want to be in the inner elite circle, Mike. If I get a visa, I'll drive up there and pledge my soul, mind, and body to you. And no homo. Future, I mean, like the way it goes, my mentee program is currently full, 1. 2, it may open up. There may be either we increase the program, because right now it's 4 full times, but I may increase the program to 5 at some point. Right now, I don't have any plans to do that. But if someone ever graduates from the program, I mean, you're in the program for life, so when you graduate from the mentorship program, you're still part of the inner circle forever. But there may be an opportunity to have a live-in. Be happy to take your resume on file, and if the time comes and there's an opportunity, let's get on the phone and talk about it and see if we're a good fit for each other. You know, I do a lot of screenings to make sure that the person that I bring into my home and bring into my life is someone that, you know, is going to be a good fit and all that. But I'm glad to see the interest. I love it. I can't approve anyone just over a message here, but I do appreciate the interest, and I love that you're always on every single Wednesday. It means a lot. What's up? Chuck Norris says, is 150 stock in K in stocks enough to lean fire? Chuck Norris, that's super lean. So 150,000 in stocks, let's say it's a 4% dividend on that. No, that's like $6,000 a year. There's no way you're living on that. But 150 grand invested in like in a mortgage lent out against real estate could generate you 12 or 14%, which like 12% on 150 grand is lean fire. Like, you know, even 10%, 15 grand a year. You could live on 15 grand a year as a single individual. You could lean fire on that. So there's like the idea, I call it like frugal fire and lux fire. That's like the ends of the spectrum. So like the super frugal fire is like the early retirement extreme guys. They're like the ultimate. And then there's the lux fire people. So yeah. By the way, my blog, I saw someone jumped in here that my blog's down. Yeah, I just got to renew that. It came out for expiration, and I got to just buy the domain or buy a different domain maybe. Probably just buy a different domain, but I might buy the same one and point it at it. I don't know. We'll see. It's not a very good domain, to be honest. 25andfree.com. But anyway, so yeah, if someone wants to donate, I'll keep that website going. Honestly, like it doesn't generate any revenue at all, and like I just forgot about it. So if someone wants me to keep that up so I can keep the free Excel templates and stuff up there, someone super chat me $15 right now. I'll upgrade the domain and pay for it for another year. I think it's like $15 a year or some stupid stuff like that. People used to work for 40 years for a pension. Now that's gone. People invest in a 401k and get almost nothing. Why not live your life on your terms instead of wage cucking, making another man rich? Yeah, there's something to be said about that. At the same time, like I know a lot of people who do work for other people and love what they do. And so it's, you do you at the end of the day. I think financial independence is about having the ability to say no. It's about freedom. It's about options. It's about going to work, and when your boss says do something, you can say no. That's what fire means. And you can do that from a stance of like, F you, because I have enough money. I don't need your money. And that's nice. Like the employee-employee relationship is much better when there's not a need for the money anymore. You can just walk away. So you can do the work that you enjoy. Your blog is done, yeah. Hey people. Hey Mike. Good to see you on. This is the first bit of content I've watched on this channel. Definitely need to check the rest out. Thanks. What do you think about negative interest rates? We did that question already. Okay, so next question is from Chuck. What factors do you consider when deciding whether to put a separate entrance meter or turn a home into a duplex or just a shared student rental? So a number of things that go into that analysis. more than I could cover even like just a minute here. But separate entrance can help if you're trying to duplex it. It's trying to do a shared entrance. It doesn't work. You gotta have separate entrances. Works way better. Okay, I'm wrapping up. That is my alarm bell that reminds me that I need to wrap up the stream in 10 minutes. So 50 minutes in, I gotta wrap it up. Duplex versus student house, it depends on the location, depends on the rents you can get. Wherever you can get the most rents or the best comps, typically rent justifies new appraisal. So I'll go where the most rents are. Like if I'm in an area where I can get 600 a bedroom and it can be a 5-bedroom or it can be 2 1-bedroom duplexes, I'm gonna definitely do a 5-bedroom. That would be, the rents would be like way higher, right? But if there's an opportunity where it's like a 3-bedroom house, but I can make it into like a 2-bedroom or 1-bedroom duplex, and it was already maxed out, so like I can use a room kind of shared as like, sometimes you can divide up duplexes where you can take a big living room and turn it into like 2 kitchens on either side of the wall, or like 2 living rooms. All of a sudden now you get way more rent. So that's a good duplex conversion. It gets you a higher cap rate. That's a good use of money. That helps the decision. So it just depends on a lot of factors, but that's one of the biggest ones is rent. What kind of rents can I get? How does the private lending work for your model at the moment? So Hugo, you can reach out to me and I can kind of explain how it works, but there are kind of 3 ways you can invest with me. I don't actually have a lot of people private lending with me. I have 2 people who are private lending with me right now, and they're seeding everything. But you can basically lend to me, guaranteed against my net worth. Like I'll send you all my information. You can. I have an amazing credit score. My brand is really strong. I would never like default on loans because my brand is worth more than the default on the loan, to be honest. I would pay down my personal money before I would default on a payment. But one way is to just like lend me in a contractual agreement against myself or my company, and I'll use that money as basically down payments to buy the properties, and I'll go get the mortgages because I can go keep qualifying for mortgages. That's one way. The other way is to lend as like a private mortgage, so you could take one of my properties and secure a second mortgage on it, and up to a certain value, and then you can get a fixed return between 8 and 15%. Call it 8 and 15%. So sometimes 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. But on like 100, or let's say $1 million, $1 million at 15% that's 150 grand a year. That's some good passive income right there. We're talking like 5 figures a month. That's a lot better than trying to buy some real estate and deal with the hassles. If you have good money, honestly, like private lending is a great way to get passive income. It's my long-term end game. That's where I want to be. I'm not quite there yet. I still have I want to see the mentees grow. And so watching them grow and build wealth, they need the private money to do it. And so I seed I buy the deals with them and I seed the capital on the deals. And so I often will partner with investors that way. So when I normally JV, the advantage is, I guess, that the joint venture partner can get the A-lender mortgage, right? If I can get an A-lender mortgage without an investor partner, why would I give up 50% of the profit? It's better just to have a fixed rate of return, and then I have full control. Control is nice. Like having to be accountable to a partner is annoying. It's easier to have no partners. Trust me on that. Like you don't want to have partners if you don't have to. In anything, in business, in real estate, it's better to not have partners. And passive lending, like private lending, is just so passive. It's like the long-term end game where the money just comes in my account every month. That's what I want. Cool. Next question. The video from a few years ago where you discussed contributing $18K when a child is born. I'm not sure what that's relating to. I did build a model where, like here in Canada, if you contribute $2,500 a year to your kid, $2,500 per year to an RESP, a Registered Education Savings Plan, the government will match you 20% right away, instantly, which then compounds and grows. Plus, there's an additional, if your income's low enough, there's additional grants you can get. But that growing over all the years, from like put $2,500 in year 1, $2,500 in year 2, etc., and so forth. By 18, the kid has 100 grand set up. So that 100 grand, $2,500 a year is nothing. Like $200 a month I put away for my kid, and they have 100 grand when they turn 18. I'm going to take that money and force my daughter, both my daughters, to buy a property. So they will buy a triplex or duplex or something to that effect when they go off to school, wherever they go to school. And even if they don't go to school, I'm just going to have them get accepted to some sort of program so we can use the RESP, even if it's an online program, and we'll buy a property with that money. That will be the mandate. I will not pay for education with that money. I will buy them a property. It'll be a down payment on a property. I'll co-sign the loan if I have to. They've got a property. $100,000 should get them a $400,000 property. $400,000 or $500,000. I figure by the time they're 18, that's like 14 years, 15 years from now, 16 years from now. For my other daughter, I guess 17 and a half years. My eldest, I guess, would be like 14 and a bit years. I guess by then, I'm hoping that the average house price is like $400,000 or $500,000 for an entry-level kind of duplex. So get them a property, and then they'll be set. They'll have a 20% down. It'll be up to them to figure out how to manage that. So if they follow after their dad and they house hack, I'll give them the tools to do that. Like, hey, here's a house. If you want to live for free in that house and make enough money to pay for your education, this house has 7 bedrooms, and you or it's a duplex, and you can rent it out, or a triplex. You can rent it out. I'm here to help, but you've got to take accountability. You've got to figure out, how to rent it out. You got to go through all that stress. It's a learning process. It's project management. It's all those skills that are useful in whatever they do in their life, and it sets them up for success, to live for free for the rest of their life, and to pay for their own education. Then they know that they've paid for their own education. I didn't pay for it. So that's my goal for my kids with an RESP. I think a lot of kids' programs are offered free by libraries. Yeah, so Hugo, 100%, I talked about that. The social programs are fantastic here in Canada, especially in the States too. There's tons of great programs that exist. Same with your school. They want people to think kids are a tremendous burden. It's not. They just say that because they want to keep the birth rates down. You know what's funny? If you look at birth rate, the poorest people have the most kids. The wealthiest people have the least amount of kids. So that's because the rich spend a lot of money on their kids, and they're smart enough to realize that kids cost a lot of money. The poor actually get net positive from kids. The kids work, they do free labor, they often get free government grants from the kids. So it's just messed up that our society incentivizes the poor to have kids and penalizes the rich. So it's just something to think about. There's a number of other factors at play here, but why does Butler Mortgage always have the best interest rates? Have you ever gotten a mortgage with them? So Chuck, yes, I have gotten a mortgage with Butler. I got a 1.84% 2-year fixed mortgage with them. Not a variable rate, 1.84% fixed on a property. 1.84% is like free money. It's disgustingly good. I hear you. 3 more minutes. So, okay. They don't have the best approval process. I'll say that. There are easier places. You should do a sauna in your backyard. 100%. We're going to put a barrel sauna in at the new house. We'll have a hot tub to sauna. It's going to be great. Okay, I got to wrap these questions up. Same, I grew up in poverty due to uncle, pays rent, is on welfare. 100%. Yeah, it's terrible. Thank you for sharing so genuinely sharing your knowledge. I'm a big London fan. My registered accounts are maxed. What can I use to track non-registered dividends and capital gains for CRA? So Percy, I really appreciate that. If your registered accounts are maxed, you could lend through registered accounts through companies like Olympia Trust. Is that what you're asking? Like, how do you track them? Basically, you get a statement printout from, if you're doing a self-directed with Questrade, they'll send you a statement of your trades, and you can just show the cost of the shares, what you sold them for, and the dividends. Hi Mike, I came across your channel about a month ago. I've been following religiously. What do you think about the Calgary market? Calgary's been beat up a bit lately, so I think it might be a little bit of a buy, but I don't follow the market intensely. Do you think hiring a GC would be worth it if they're reasonably priced, because they can just be the focus entirely on buying more and generating income? Is it best to be successful this way? Chuck, yes. Once you get to a certain scale of size. If you have 1 or 2 projects, no. But if you get to a big enough point, that's where I got to. We had a GC. When I had the construction company, we had 2 GCs actually running, just managing. So you eventually do get to that point. Hey Mike, being frugal is key to fire. I'm on the way, a few years away. It's awesome, Sir Dino. Bath time reminder, thanks again. Thanks, William, appreciate that. All right, I gotta go. Skills. Thanks everyone for watching. I really do appreciate it. The secret to unlocking wealth for you guys is 3 things. 3 levers to your financial future. Spend less, earn more, and maximize your returns. These are the 3 levers. All right, everyone, I'll see you next week. If I don't see you this Saturday for a video because I'm busy renovating my house, forgive the fact that I don't have a Saturday upload. I've been good for the last 1.5 years. I'm gonna at least give you a video a week. The live streams are that. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next Wednesday. I might even go live from my new house. So maybe get to see that if you tune in next week. And if you enjoyed this video, smash the like button, and I'll see you in the comments.